This Mobile Geeks video is powered by ASUS.
Nicole Scott here from Mobile Geeks. I am down at the Samsung booth at IFA 2016, and as you can see, Samsung does not disappoint in their booth layout, and this year is no exception. Check out this TV display over here. So Samsung is doing something called the quantum dot. It's a lot of blah blah blah, but basically it's like all the light in one pixel. But this TV display with all of these curved displays is actually really gorgeous. The design actually, all of these graphics are done by Berlin artists. So if we keep on watching it through, it's a lot more than just dots. Hopefully we'll get more than dots. But there's some really beautiful scenescapes. Oh, there we go. I love the way that the graphics have been done on this to be, not exactly the same, all a little bit different, kind of taking you through a little bit of a story. The Samsung booth overall is about one big story. Behind us over there is where all the TVs are. We're not going to go into that because I just went over Quantum Dot. If we just look to the right over here, we can see that we have the Family Hub. Now back in I think January at CES, they were showing a demo of a connected fridge with a giant display on the front. That is where the the Family Hub is coming through, where you can leave messages talking about connectivity with your family. That kind of stuff. I do love the connected kitchen, but Samsung's strength at IFA 2016 is not the connected kitchen, it is their mobile division. So we know that Samsung launched the Gear S3. Gear S2 was warmly received. The Gear S3 is unapologetically for men. I do like how they went, and we still sell the Gear S2 if women want something that fits their wrists. We can try to grab one of those, but now we're in Pod Central. Look at all these pods around us. Everyone's hopping into a pod and getting a nice immersive VR experience. These headsets here are not the new Gear VR. These are the old ones, unfortunately. We can try to take a look at one of those. The new one actually has a nice thicker pad, much more kind of luxurious construction. Over here, Samsung CNT. So I've always really liked what the Samsung CNT guys have done. This is actually a different division from Samsung. So Samsung CNT because Samsung is so big, they make buildings and cars and boats, and these guys actually have been in the fashion industry. So they work with Samsung around new sensors, and the fashion industry has a concept of wearable that's different than ours. They actually want it to be wearable. So they look at the industry, the tech industry, and they kind of say, how will this legitimately be useful? So this has just come to Kickstarter. It's the Welt. It is a Bluetooth fashion, it's what's it called? A tracker. I saw this last year here at the Samsung booth, and it's nice to see that it's actually come to market in terms of a Kickstarter program. So you can see your waist size, steps, sitting, eating, everything that you want to do to track your steps in a very, very fashion-forward design. Lots of different colors. Samsung actually, if you don't know this, has a few different fashion divisions. Beanpole is one of their kind of like Ralph Lauren competitors. Then we have a 7 Second, which is more like an H&M fast fashion brand. And all these are only available in Korea, which is why most people don't know about them. But Samsung's CNT division is actually a real player. Ralph Lauren in Korea is chasing Beanpole, which is really interesting. And Beanpole, I did a story, I think it was last year, the year before, I think it was last year, where Beanpole had a golfing jacket, a little like what's that called? A down breaker that had all of these things in it. We're gonna head over here, Daniel. No Gear S3 just yet, because down around this corner, virtual reality is definitely becoming a thing, and since Samsung isn't making their own dedicated VR headset, like we saw back there with the old one, they have a new one that is in over here, and we're going to see a 4D kayaking experience. So this is extreme kayaking. Check these guys out. They're wearing the brand new Gear VR headset. You can see that the padding on the back is a lot more defined. It's darker, so it won't get so dirty with all the touching and the wear that you put it through. So it's obviously 4D is, the rumble pad they're sitting on. the virtual reality there, and there's even fans in front of the kayaks to simulate wind. I'm wondering if there's like, if we could spit on them to give them the real 4D. Now, around over here, we have extreme mountain biking. So you can see we still have the rumble pads. Last year, Sasha and I did this roller coaster, and I put the footage into the video. Really great stuff, but you can see the lineups are so long here because everyone wants to experience this kind of really immersive virtual reality experience. We're going to cut back over here to head into their wearable section, but first, before you do that, Daniel, up over there, that's what I want to do, the volcano bungee. I'm gonna contact Samsung to see if we can't maybe get on the list for an hour from now. Wouldn't that be cool? I've never bungee jumped, and after I do that, maybe I can say that I did. So now I was mentioning that Samsung announced the Gear S3, Classic, and Frontier. So there are a few different iterations of the Gear. The Classic is the one that we have over here. The Classic is has less functionality a little bit because the Frontier is more about Bluetooth and ruggability, and the Gear S3, yeah, you can see that it's much larger. It is more in line with what we have with the Tag Heuer line. This is a silicon band, but they have the ability to change it to any 22 millimeter band. They have the 2 buttons up here on the top. The Classic is not, doesn't have things like a barometer or an accelerometer. The Frontier is a little more, actually this is the Frontier. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is I was like, wait, these are like more inside. The Classic, which is right here, this has the more pronounced lugs, right? So these buttons are a little rounder, so it's a little more business friendly, whereas the Frontier with these buttons is, you know, a little more kind of rugged feeling. So this is the Samsung Gear S3. It is a little bit bigger than the S2 from last year, so it's definitely a little more for men. Now, if we keep on walking through, you can see that there is a really big emphasis on design with the S3. Taking a look up over here, all of the different watch faces, they've collaborated with several designers to have very kind of different wallpapers and to allow for a higher level of customization and a lot more personalization for these devices. Your smartphone is already highly personal. Your smartwatch needs to be even more so. To be honest with you, it's actually very interesting to see how Samsung did a solo event for the S3, which was like so received, I guess. I think that it's really telling that the smartwatch industry is gathering some momentum. Maybe this is the second time around. They didn't get it right the first time, and so maybe this time we'll actually be seeing people adopt smartwatches. But usually what happens at IFA is Samsung announces their new smartphone. But they did a solo event maybe 3 weeks ago where they launched the Note 7 and it came out onto the market. So this is the Note 7 area. We'll sneak up, oh, right behind you, Daniel. We can grab this one right here. So this is the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Ooh. Well, maybe it's not turning, oh, there we go. There we go. I was worried that maybe the battery might explode. That's why it wasn't turning on. We can see that this is really an extension of the Note range. Down here at the bottom, that's where we have the stylus holder, USB Type-C. This is really the most perfect phablet that's ever been made, apart from the quality assurance issues and the fact that this one seems to be a bit of a dud in terms of functionality. So they've added in the Edge features onto the Note 7. So it kind of has the best of both worlds. The Samsung Galaxy line, and then all the functionality of the pen. It even has an iris scanner, but using all of this with one hand. And yeah, I'm sure you've heard the news about Samsung. We'll just leave the Note 7 alone right now. But there's a lot going on here at the booth. If we look around, Samsung is really about so much more than just smartphones. Right? They have 360 cams, which we see the Gear 360 here. So we can try to imagine a world where we're creating our own 360 virtual reality content, and then here we are sharing it with our friends in our Gear VR headset. Samsung also has an SSD section, a Samsung Knox, which we're going to head into right now. And this is really important for Samsung because this level of security is what's going to enable them to compete with Apple in terms of corporate relations. The iPhone was always one of those phones that businesses accepted because it had a very high level of security. Samsung Knox adds that level of security onto their smartphones. And Samsung Knox on the Note 7 is a little more forward-facing, not just for business, but also for the general consumer, because we have a secure folder that you can also use the iris scan to unlock. You can see that Samsung Pay is another reason why you'd want extra security on your smartphone. You can see that they have like a lot going on where you can actually use their new S3 watch in order to do Samsung Pay and maybe unlock your phone, or unlock your car. Sorry about that. So Mercedes and I believe BMW, maybe with another manufacturer, have announced the fact that you can unlock your car with your smartphone. So we're starting to see a real convergence of ecosystems in automotive and smartphone, where your smartphone can be more useful with your car. I can't wait to see things like that roll out a lot more. So this has just been a very quick walkthrough of the Samsung booth. Back to you in the studio, Sasha.